Today I'm going to be showing you how to use infusible ink and layer it to get a multicolor design on a mug using the new Cricut mug press. So we're going to be layering 3 different colors of infusible ink to make this project. And I just wanted to highlight quick, this is one of our infusible ink bundles that's available for sale on our website. It comes with 4 colors. I'm actually using 3 of them today, and they're perfect for spring and summer projects, so definitely go check that out on our website. And let's get started in Cricut Design Space with this project. So before we get into this, I did want to just give you a heads up. There are several steps that we're about to cover. I'm going to do my best to try and go slow, but also not take 45 minutes to get through this. So if you need to pause and rewind, definitely do that. Or if you have questions, you can always ask in the comments below, and we're always happy to help out and answer them. But I'm going to be showing you 2 things here today. First, I created a template that I'm going to be using to help align my mug and get it centered. So I'll show you how that goes, and then I'll show you how to put the design on top of the template. So that's what we're going to be covering. And I'm excited about this template because I feel like it's going to help you be able to get your design on your mug straight. So I'll include the link for the template below. You'll have to download that and upload it to Design Space. But other than that, let's get started. So the first step is going to be creating our mug template, and there are 2 steps to this. So just follow along closely because it's really important that you get the both of them. So click on Shapes, click on Square, and enter in these dimensions. And this is if you're using a 15-ounce Cricut mug. So come up here to the Unlock button, and I'm going to type in 2.9 by 4.25. So the 4.25 is the height of our mug, and the 2.9 is the total span of our mug divided by 3, the total width divided by 3. You could make this a little bit wider if you wanted to, but that's what it was, cut into thirds. Because what we're going to be doing today is applying this design onto the front side of our mug and the back side, which is why I split it into thirds. So turn the lock back on, and I'm going to just make this pink. Okay, so that's step 1. Create your rectangle. Now, go to our blog and download the mug template that I have on our blog. It's free, it's a PNG file, and then you're going to upload it to Design Space. So you'll select Upload, Upload Image, Browse. Wherever you saved it, access it, click on it, Open, Continue, save it as a cut file, Upload, and then click on it and insert it onto your canvas. You can actually use this template for any sized mug, so you can resize it to whatever you need. But what we are going to do is make it the same dimensions as our first template. So click on it, again, click Unlock, the same dimensions, 2.9, 4.25, and click Enter. And then click that lock. So now we have our rectangle and we have the outline, and they're both the same dimensions. So I'm going to highlight both of them, align, and center. And then for now, I'm just going to group this together so that they stay together. So that's step 1. Now let me explain why we're doing this really quick before we move on. Basically, what I want the Cricut to do is cut the infusible ink out, this rectangle, completely. I want it to cut through so that we have this template. So when we go to put our design on the mug, we can align the top of the template up with the top of the mug and the bottom on the bottom of the mug. If you have done a full wrap design with a Cricut mug press, and I'm just going to unhide this, it looks like this. It's the same exact concept. So what the Cricut does is it cuts out this template, but when you have your design on it, it just cuts through the ink on your design. So the same thing is going to be true here. It's going to cut out the rectangle, and then it's just going to do a kiss cut on the Best Mom Ever. So it'll just cut like normal on the Best Mom Ever, but it will cut out our template so we can align it on the mug. If that doesn't make sense yet, I promise it will soon. But that's how I got this idea. So I'm going to hide this. So we've got our template, and now let's find the design. I found the design in Cricut Access by searching through the images. So we'll head over there, and if you just type in Best Mom Ever, it's actually the first one that pops up. So select that and click Insert Images. As you can see, it's already split into 3 different layers, which is perfect because that's what I wanted. I wanted to use 3 different colors of infusible ink. So the first thing that we're going to do is size it on our mug template. So use this arrow and we'll size down. And you can make it as big or as large as you want. So I think about there looks good. And now we're going to ungroup the Best Mom Ever. And I'm going to change these into the colors of vinyl that I'm using. So I've got purple and pink and yellow. Okay, and now we're going to take the center of our design, the mom, and place it onto our template. Then highlight the template and the mom and say align center. And then from here, you're going to come to the bottom right hand corner and tell it to attach. So now what the Cricut is going to do is, again, cut the template out entirely, and it will just, but for the mom and these dashes, it's just going to cut through the ink for those. So then to layer our infusible ink, it's going to cut the purple, obviously, on its own. We're going to manually put this onto our template, the same thing with the Ever. And you'll see what I mean by that in just a second if that doesn't make sense. But that's how you use this little mug template, and that's how I made my design. I hope that makes sense. Again, if you have any questions about this, let me know in the comments below. But for me, in my brain, this worked really well because then it allowed me to have the mom be centered, and I knew it was perfectly centered top and bottom on my mug. So we can delete this one and then click Make It. And then the first thing I'm going to do is increase the project copies. And you may want to just bump these over a little bit because they can get kind of close. But then don't forget, we're working with infusible ink. So on each of these mats, you need to click on Mirror so that it cuts them backwards. And then we will choose infusible ink transfer sheets for our cutting setting. Alright, so I've got my infusible ink cut to size, and now I'm going to get this applied onto the cutting mat. We're just going to go mat by mat and get this lined up. You can push down with your hand, but I like to use a brayer tool when applying infusible ink because I think the less amount of contact you can get onto the ink, the transfer sheet, the better. If you have lotion on your hands or oil, it can ruin the transfer, so make sure your hands are dry and clean. Okay, so we've got the pink on. We're going to do this one first. And then I'm working on an Explorer 2 today. Infusible ink does work with all Cricuts, the Explorer Maker Joy, but I'm going to move my Smart Dial to Custom. And then over on my computer, I'm choosing infusible ink transfer sheet for my cutting setting. Get this loaded in. Double check one more time our image is mirrored, which it is, and now we can get cutting. So the first one it's cutting is the pink layer, and this is the layer that I use the template on. So it will cut our design and do a kiss cut, which means it's just going to cut through the ink, but then when it goes around the rectangle, it will cut all the way through, just as a heads up. The next thing that we're going to do is weed, and before we actually do that, I'm going to cut my pieces out. So for example, it cut the 2 Evers together. So I'm just going to separate those. So they're 2 individual ones. And then if you have any excess transfer sheet, you can cut that down and save that scrap as well. So save that, and then I'm going to separate the best as well. So now we have all 6 pieces, so obviously 3 will go on each side. Okay, so then from here we're going to weed. So if you've never weeded infusible ink before, it feels like a thick paper to me, and I'm actually just going to start by like rolling it a little bit to kind of help it crack, because what we're going to be doing is removing the paper from the liner. And I know it's probably hard to see because this is so tiny, but I'm just starting in the corner here. And I'm going to start by peeling up, just using my fingers, no tools. And I'm just peeling up the transfer sheet. So just go nice and slow. We'll want to make sure, obviously, everything stays. So that was around the word ever. So now I'm just going to remove the inside of the heart. And then all of these inside of the cursive letters, which are so tiny. If you need to use the tweezers to help you get them out, you could do that as well. But actually that went really easily. So that's what it looks like when we put it onto the mug. And there it is from the bottom side. And then I did want to show you our template here. So I just started taking a peek at this. We are going to be removing the transfer sheet around the word mom. So what I'm actually going to do, so I started to peel this up. And then I find it a little easier as I go to kind of trim some of the transfer sheet away. And then same thing, we're just going to kind of peel it off. I did find on these little dashes, they had a harder time staying on the this clear transparent sheet. So I'm just going to use a weeder tool to help push those down. It's kind of like rolling up a little bit, I would say. And then again, I'm going to cut this. I would say if you're working with infusible ink for the first time, to try and keep your design relatively simple and not too tiny. I think that this is actually a great size on the 15-ounce mug for this design. So just keep that in mind. It can be a little challenging to weed if your design gets too tiny and too intricate, but this is working out really well. Oops, I just dropped a dash, but that's okay. We'll grab that in just 1 second. So if something falls off, you can just easily stick it right back on because the sheet is sticky. And then I have the inside of the mom, the O, sorry, as well. So now, do you see how this is the height of our mug? And so then we're going to apply Ever right underneath here. And then we are going to apply Best as well. So let me get the rest of this weeded. It's probably gonna take me just 5 or so minutes, I would say. And then we will get assembling our letters onto this template. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is layer our pieces onto our template that already has the mom on it. So the reason I chose to keep the mom on the template is because we know that's perfectly centered there. So I went ahead and did one to show you what it looks like. So we're gonna be adding Best, and then we're gonna be adding Ever, so that it all gets lined up on this template. So what we're going to do is remove the Ever and the Best and place it on the mom onto our template. So I actually am looking at my computer screen over here, and I flipped the design in Design Space because we're placing it onto our template upside down, right? Since we mirrored it. So I find that to be helpful. But when you're removing your transfer sheet from the clear sheet, just go nice and slow and be careful. And again, we're just trying to like pop it off, but we don't want to rip the transfer sheet. So just go nice and slow. The nice thing about these cursive letters is that they're all connected. And I found that I like going from the bottom of the letters like this and just popping it all up. So I'm kind of just like pulling down, and that helps a lot. Then we'll grab the heart. And now we're going to place this underneath the mom. So again, I'm just looking at my computer. I mean, I guess I could be looking at this one too, just to help me reference where to put it. But we're literally just going to be placing it onto our template. So set it on and then push down with your fingers. If you need to push down with a tool, you can do that as well, since this is sticky. So there's the E. And now I'm gonna place on the rest. And the nice thing is, if you place it on and you don't like it, you can pick it up and move it again. Just go nice and slow. I'm gonna push down with this weeder tool. And then I'll do the heart. Make sure everything is pushed down well. And then you can flip it over and make sure that you like the placement. So actually, as I'm looking at this, the E looks a little funky to me. So I'm going to peel that back up and just place it down again and try and get it a little more straight. Okay, I think that looks good. And now I'm going to add the Best. So we're going to do the same thing. Let's see how that looks. Actually, I think it looks pretty good. So now I'm just gonna push down one more time to make sure everything is applied well. Okay, so there is what it looks like. This is how we're going to apply it onto our mug, but that is how you can layer with infusible ink. You just have to manually move it. And this is why I find this template to be so helpful, because now I have space to put it on as well. Okay, so I think that's the hardest part, and now that's over. So now I'm gonna get the mug press preheated, and we're gonna add these onto our mug. All you have to do is turn it on, and then once this light turns green, it'll also beep, then it is ready to go. So while that's going, we're gonna prep our mug. So I'm using a 15-ounce Cricut mug. You can use any sublimation mug though. It is important that it is sublimation though. And the first thing that we're gonna do is take a lint roller, and we're going to just get off any dust or debris. So just lint roll it. And then we are going to get our transfer sheets onto our mug. So I'm gonna actually just set my mug down like this. We're gonna get this lined up. As you can see from the template, it's gonna make it really easy to keep it straight on the top and the bottom. So I'm just finding the center of the mug from the handle over. I think that looks good. And then I've got my top and my bottom lined up. So I can go ahead and just push down. You'll want to make sure that everything is smooth. And whoops, my heart came off, so I'm going to stick that back on. You want to make sure there are no air bubbles in your design at all. So really push down, and actually, I'm going to go over this with my brayer. You could also use a scraper tool would work. I just actually can't find mine at the moment. And just make sure that it's pressed down really well. Then from here, I'm gonna add just a few pieces of tape just for good measure to help it, you know, just be tight and to stick. So this is heat resistant tape. We do sell this on our website. It is from Cricut. You can't just use regular tape. So here's what that looks like. So now we're gonna do the other side, and we're just gonna do our best to make sure it's lined up the same or similarly as this side. Okay, so now we've got our design on each side, and I actually think I'm going to redo this side because I feel like it's off to the right. But once this gets preheated, we'll go from there. So I'm just going to move this guy over a little bit and just get this fixed, and then we'll get this pressed. Okay, so the mug press is all heated up. Our mug is good to go. So here's one last look before we put it in. And then all you have to do is lift up the ledge or this handle on the right, and then we're just gonna slide the mug in. It will be a little tight, or just tight feeling because it's the bigger mug. So just slide it down. And then I'm just looking side to side here to make sure that it's completely covered my design. But since it's not a full wrap, I don't need to worry. But just make sure if yours extends closer to the handle, that it's completely covered by this mint heat plate. So when it's good, we'll push the handle down. And then now it has officially started. So you don't have to adjust time or temperature. And when it's finished, it'll beep, and we can follow the progress from these lights over here. One other thing I just wanted to add quick, you just have to make sure that your design is at least a ½ inch away from the handle. So we'll let that get pressing. I'm gonna time to see how long it takes, usually about 5 or 6 minutes, and then we will finish up. Okay, so it just finished. We're gonna lift this lever and slide out our mug. Be careful, it's really hot. I'm going to place mine on an easy press mat. You could also use a trivet. And we're gonna let this cool completely before we peel it off. And it'll probably be about 15 minutes. That did take about 6 minutes to press. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut off the mug press. We'll let that cool down, and then we will peel it off. But here is what it looks like. You can kind of start to see some of the color popping through. So I'm excited to get this peeled off. Okay, it's mostly cooled. Actually it's still pretty hot, but we're just gonna do this anyway because I'm impatient. So I'm just peeling off the tape first. And then our transfer sheet, or this clear sheet. So there's one side. I'm super excited about this. Think it's super cute. Now I'll do the other side. And there's the other side. So that is how you layer using infusible ink. Just a fun way to make some mugs, add some different colors. And like I mentioned earlier, this was a part of an infusible ink bundle we have on our website with 4 different colors. And this was the mint color. So I made this mug using the mint. And then these are the other 3 colors. So these are all 4 of the colors that come in the bundle. Super pretty spring and summer colors. So that's how you layer infusible ink and use the Cricut mug press. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments below. Don't forget you can snag your mug press on our website. I'll leave the link below for everything. And thanks for watching our video.